Hi, my name is Stephanie, and I'm going to be talking about how to plan a wedding. So you've just become engaged, and eventually, given that everything goes as planned, you'll have a wedding so that the two of you can actually become married. Planning a wedding can be a really stressful time in people's lives and can put really any solid relationship to the test. The guide that I've made tries to take a systematic approach to wedding planning, but also keep in mind that some things need to be done out of order. So this guide is not all inclusive of the wedding planning process and can be altered to fit your personal needs at any time. So without further ado, I'll jump right into the wedding planning process. So the first step is to determine your ideal time frame, venue, and budget. One of the very first decisions you'll make together is about time frame, specifically how far in the future you'd like to get married and during which season. Rule out any dates you know won't work and look at a calendar to determine some preferences for dates that you guys would like the wedding on. The next step you'll take is to determine the location and venues. If you hope for a getaway wedding, keep in mind the distance that friends and family are going to have to travel and whether this is feasible for most of the people that you're inviting to your wedding. Discuss together whether the ceremony will be a religious one, as this might help to determine the venue also. So if you have a religious figure officiating your wedding, it may be more feasible for you to have your wedding at church, for instance. So some venue options are churches, hotels, vineyards, botanical gardens, ski lodges, and those are just to name a few. When looking at outdoor options, it's probably good to look for a place with a focal point such as a gazebo, unless you plan to make or bring your own wedding arch or something along those lines. A gazebo also doubles as a shelter from the elements in the event that you have less than optimal weather on the day of your wedding. Budget is another of the first things you should determine. When you're looking at things like venues, you'll realize how quickly wedding expenses can add up. There are lots of free downloadable spreadsheets online which are meant to help you better determine a budget for your wedding. The next step is determining the wedding party and guest list. So determining your wedding party is a pretty big deal. These are really close friends and family that you trust to help you get through to the big day with as few setbacks as possible. So make sure that you're choosing these people wisely. And these are your bridesmaids and groomsmen. After this comes the guest list, so determine the capacity that your venue is able to hold and kind of start making a list from there. Just make sure you don't forget anyone, and then remember once the guest list is already at capacity. The next steps in the wedding planning process are to choose themes and colors schemes. So this step allows you to make the atmosphere really your own and as simple or as extravagant as you and your partner wish to have it. Determine the colors that you really want your bridesmaids and groomsmen wearing, as these colors will also be accented throughout the wedding decor. Some popular themes in recent years are rustic weddings, vintage weddings, country-themed weddings, and beach weddings. Rustic themes seem to be making real strides in recent years with lots of DIY crafting ideas. Those ideas can also be a lot easier on the checkbook, and you can look on places like Pinterest, which will give you lots of options there. And the next step in planning process is to figure out party favors, entertainment, food, and beverages. So you'll want to determine if you'll be offering party favors for your guests and start ordering those if you so choose. Lots of companies offer prepackaged wedding party favors. So you can go that route, or you can choose to make your own bags if you so choose. As for entertainment, you'll want to prefer a DJ versus a live performer. Live performers can come in way of cover bands, or they can also be their own band performing their own music. The setback to that is that not everyone might know what their music is or what they're playing, so you may have a lower turnout as it pertains to dancing. A DJ, on the other hand, is probably going to play whatever the bride and groom wish to be played, and the bride and groom can give the DJ a playlist for specific songs that they would like played at the wedding. But a DJ can be rather expensive, so there are pros and cons to weigh. Next, you'll want to determine a catering. So You'll first want to view some sample menus from multiple different caterers. Once you've chosen a catering company, you'll plan meetings with those caterers, which will include menu reviews and sampling of the foods so that you can determine a few entrees for each guest to choose from. You can have some vegetarian or dairy-free options. You can also do gluten-free options. This will give people with food sensitivities or allergies the chance to eat while they're at your wedding. You're also going to want to choose cake flavors and cake designs during this process, and you'll be pretty amazed, probably a little bit overwhelmed at how many cake flavor options there are once you start planning a wedding. The next step in the wedding planning process is sending out save the dates and then subsequently invitations. Since you've chosen your color schemes already, the color schemes are probably going to reflect on both your save the dates and your invitations. And when you're sending your invitations, make sure that you're putting a meal request on those as well so that your caterer can know how many entrees of which type to prepare. And the next step in the wedding planning process is attire. So finding your dress and bridesmaids' dresses and tuxedos for the groom and groomsmen. At this point, a lot of the heavy lifting for wedding planning has already been done, but there's still quite a ways to go. So choosing the dress for the bride is pretty rewarding in itself, I think. So make sure as a bride scheduling a few different appointments at different dress shops, and once these appointments are scheduled, head over to these dress shops with your maid of honor and other friends and family that are close to you so that they can help you make this decision. Also have a general idea of the kind of dress or the style of dress that you're looking for and the styles of dresses that you know don't work for you in advance. Next, you'll want to choose bridesmaids' dresses, and these traditionally are in line with the color scheme that you've already picked out, but you don't, of course, have to be traditional. You can be as non-traditional as you choose to. Groomsmen, same thing. You can be as traditional or non-traditional as you like. Traditionally, it's tuxedos, and you can have a pop of color in there if you'd like. Next, you'll want to hire a florist. Hire a hair and makeup artist, and these are for the bride and bridesmaids if you so choose. You'll also want to hire a photographer, and so make sure with your photographer that you really have reviewed their pictures and that you like this photographer's style, because these photographers are catching all the special moments of this very special day for you. The next step in the wedding planning process is getting your marriage license, and this can take up to a week, so it's best to get this well in advance in case there are any issues with the license. Next, you'll want to have a rehearsal dinner. One person should be in charge of your rehearsal dinner, and so generally speaking, this is the maid of honor, but this can be someone else if there's lots of responsibilities already placed on the maid of honor. Ensure that toasts are in order and that everyone has a correct timeline of events in front of them at this point. And finally, just make sure that you have fun at your wedding day. It's a really long and adventurous point, up to get to this point. So just make sure that you really enjoy your day and make sure that it was all worth it in the end. Again, my name is Stephanie, and thank you for your time.